everybody, Jen with Scrapping Under the Influence here with a new design team project for Doodlebug. So the Sweet and Spooky collection is their new Halloween collection that just came out the beginning of September, and it's amazing. It's so cute. And so what I decided to do for my first project, excuse me, is treat boxes. And the reason I decided that was a couple of things. I loved the standalone dies that are with this collection. There's the Haunted Manor, and then the little treat jar. And the name of the treat jar die is Treat Yourself. But it was the patterned acetate. Okay. So this is something new that Doodlebug has been doing. They had the gold pattern for the Hello Again line, and they've got this one for the Halloween line, and it is so stinking cute. I actually ordered like 5 or 6 sheets of it just to hoard because this is what I do with Doodlebug. But it's super heavyweight, so it made making boxes super easy. So these are 3.5 inches on the side, 6 inches high. The tops, I've used a couple of pieces from the Chit Chat Doodle-pops, some of the jewels, and then some of the Hocus Pocus shape sprinkles on here. So let's look at the haunted house one first. So what I have done, and in the pictures at the beginning of the video, there was candy in them. I took it out just because it's going to be easier to look at them with no candy. So for this back panel, I did use the 6x6 paper pad. For the haunted house itself, I used some of the the 6x6 petite prints, and then 6x6 or the solid Doodlebug cardstock for different little elements here. My little ghosts are vellum, which they're super cute out of vellum. And then this is a piece from the odds and ends because it needed a moon, and that worked out just beautifully. So this is matted on the bottom. I do have another piece of the 6x6 petite prints in the bottom just to finish off the bottom. And then the lid just slips on just like that. For the treat jar, I did, and I overloaded it, which was entirely my fault. I did make that into a little shaker using the die cut candy pieces that you make with the die. I did use some lilac doodle twine, and then again I used the 6x6 for that back panel, and then for the matting on the sides and on the lid, and also for a couple of the candy pieces in here. I used both the 6x6 pattern paper on a couple of these, and then the petite prints, 6x6 petite prints. So full tutorial plays next. I do show you how I make this into a shaker at the very end, which you are absolutely can skip if you would like. I do have a sped up process of cutting and assembling the little haunted house. This one definitely is a little bit more labor intensive than this one. This one goes together so fast, and I really thought this one was going to take longer. But they're just both really fun standalone dies, and it makes for a super cute, super easy project. As always, thank you for watching, and tutorial starts now. Okay, so for our box, to get both boxes, you're going to need 1 sheet of 12x12 cardstock. I am cutting this to 5 9/16. Okay, where is that? So here's our 5.5. The next longest line is 5 5/8. You want that little line in between. Okay. So 5 9/16. I'm only going to cut the top and bottom for one of these because it will be the same process for both of these. Okay. Okay. And then we are going to score this at 1 inch on all 4 sides. Okay. Now I am going to find my scissors and we're going to do this same process on both pieces. So where you've got your score line there, you're going to cut up along that score line, and then you're going to cut in at an angle, so you're taking a little wedge out, okay? And then you're going to miter. I cannot do it from that side, I'm sorry. I have to start from my score line, and you're going to take a little chunk off there, okay? Turn. Do it again. Sorry, I am incapable of doing it out that way. So I will be flipping mine over. Okay. And again. All right, so there's one piece. We're going to do the same thing with the other piece. I think what I'm going to do is just go around and do those wedges, and then I'll flip it over and do the other side. Or do the other cut. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do now is grab just the normal size bone folder, and I'm just going to fold up and burnish all of my score lines. Okay. I'm going to do that on both pieces. Okay. So then I am going to take my glue, and I want some clips to help hold this all together. And I'm going to glue, and I'm going to clip. And that's just to hold it in place while it dries. I am using the Nuvo glue that came with my glue gun thingy. I don't typically, I use Nuvo on cards sometimes just because it doesn't dry quite as fast as art glitter, but it's all personal preference, as we all know. Okay. And when you fold those sides up, you're just folding it out to that edge. I'm sorry, when you adhere them down. Okay, so there's one. So this one, I'll kind of show you at a different angle. Okay, I'm going to fold this up so that that edge lines up with the outside edge of the piece you're gluing together. Okay, and And one of my lights right over my table went out, so I apologize if the lighting is not the, the best today. It will not get fixed until my husband comes home and brings me the new light assembly. So like these weird, I don't know, like LED can lights kind of things. And so if it goes out, you have to replace like the whole thing. Okay. So there's that. So we're just going to set those over there to dry. Now, acetate. I'm going to put the, because you'll see when you see the acetate, like it's nice and vibrant on one side, and on the other side it's kind of muted. That's the side we want facing up. Okay? So, let me find where I put my measurements. Hold on one second. Okay, so we are going to score our acetate at 3/4 of an inch. And just because of how heavy this acetate is, I'm actually going to do this standing up so I can make sure I'm holding this nice and steady. So 3/4, 4 1/4, 7 3/4, and the really heavy acetate when you're scoring this can always be kind of tricky because see how it starts to stand up? But usually when I'm not teaching how to do this, I start from the other side and come across, so as it comes up, it's not a big deal. And then 11 1/4. Okay, so there's our scored acetate. Then we need our paper that's gonna like hold this together. Okay, so from the 6x6 pad, I am gonna do this one here, and I'm gonna go just under 3 1/2, so to the tiny line in between 3 3/8 and 3 1/2. So 3 7/16. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing with this one, but that's right. Because I want to use, no, actually that'll be okay. Sorry, I was trying to think ahead because I will do a little bit of matting on this, but not anything too crazy. In fact, to reinforce my bottom, I'm going to take some of my scrap pieces from when we were cutting all of the die cut pieces. Okay, so now I want to take my acetate, and this time I am going to use the big bone folder, but before I do that, I want score tape, and I want 1/2 inch score tape. And what I'm going to do is put this down, not quite to my inside score line here, but close. Okay, I'm going to do it again on this side. And then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do the same thing on here. And since I'm here. I'm just going to kind of burnish over that to make sure it's good and adhered. Okay. So now I'm going to fold up my box. So I'm going to start with one of my middle score lines here. And I take it back, I'm not going to use the bone folder because I don't want this to get too pushed in. So see, I folded it over, went over it with my finger, and it tries to stay like all the way in. So you'll have to kind of push it back because we want a box shape. Okay. And honestly, this heavy stuff folds really, really well. So now I'm going to apparently lose my little thing I get my tape backing off with. So you're going to have to, oh, that worked. Okay. So this one is going to go on the inside. So all I'm going to do is line this up. Like so. Top to bottom and push it down. Okay. I'm going to bring it around and do the same thing on this other side. And this is where you're going to kind of push these in to square up your box. Okay. Like so. Okay. Right down and burnish to get that nice and adhered. And there we go. Isn't that cute? Okay, we're going to do the same thing on this back side, only I'm going to get it off of both sides at the same time. And of course, when I can't do it flat on the table, that does not want to work. Ah, there we go. Okay, but I am going to get just a little bit of glue where it's going paper to paper. Okay, so now you just need to decide which side you're putting out, and I am going to put the, I need to change the blade in my thing. Oh my gosh, that looks really bad. Okay. And we are going to line this up at the top. And then just all the way down, and again, come in here and burnish. Okay, so there's our box. Now we're going to take one of our base pieces, doesn't matter which one, they are both the same, and I'm going to go ahead and put this petite print down inside. And then this will sit right inside like that. So you can adhere this bottom part to this, which I think I'm actually going to do. So to do that, I'm going to take my score tape again and run it around the inside edge of the box, and that's just going to help it stay put. Okay, do want to mat this. So that's where I'm going to use the back side of, and that's where I was thinking I needed to turn that one the other way, was so that I could use that print on the back side. Or I can pull out a completely separate page to do my matting, although I like this black. So I am going to use the back side of this one to mat. And then I just need to figure out which one I'm going to use to mat the other one, but that's super easy. So we're going to set this down in here. In fact, if you know what you're going to mat with, you can do it before you even glue this together, and it'll be even easier. Okay, I am going to look for, there it is, it's hiding under pieces of paper over here. Okay, so I am going to have to start an edge and fold it back, okay, so that it's standing up like that. And I'm going to do this all the way around. I don't want to take it completely off because then it's going to be, you don't want it grabbing onto that acetate all the way around as you're trying to slide it in. But because this is a pretty flush fit, you also can't like slide it in there and then, you know, be able to like pull it out without damaging the box base to get it. So we're just going to start those little tabs, which if you're taping something like this down and you're not entirely comfortable with, you know, how it's going to go in, this is a good trick. But I am going to kind of, they do not want to stand up. Okay, so we're in. Now I can just pull on that tab, pull that backing out. And then I can lay this on its side and burnish. And there you go, there's your base. Your lid will go on the same way. And there's your box. And now, still need to make my moon. But now I can adhere this down here in the front, and I can fill it with whatever little treats I'm going to fill it with, and it's ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and get my other one put together, and we'll come back and we'll finish these off. Okay, since I'm scoring my second one, I'm going to show you the difference between starting at the opposite side and scoring across. So I'm starting at 1 1/4. I'm sorry, 11 1/4. 11 1/4. 7 3/4. See how much easier this is to hold still? 4 1/4. And then finally, whoops, it's still sliding on me. 3/4. Notice how I didn't have to fight to hold that down? That's the better way to do it. Okay, so for the candy jar, I've got my little candy pieces put together. I've got my lid cut and put together. I may finish off a couple more of the candy pieces, I'm not sure yet. But I want to make this into a shaker, okay? So how we're gonna do that, because this doesn't have a separate layer for that, I've cut the little frame piece that would go on the top here. And I've got my little bitty micro runner, if I can get the lid off. I have never used this before, but it's like super tiny, okay? So I am gonna line this up and go down my edges. And it's going off onto my table, but that's okay. Not the easiest thing to line up, but I also don't want to mess with the tiny score tape either, so this is my option. Okay, all right, so you can see I've got a little bit of tape hanging over on the edges there. All I'm going to do is just fold that back onto the back side. Not a bad little adhesive runner. It's just going to take some practice to learn how to line it up where I want it to go. But that's not a big deal. Okay. All right, so I'm going to lay this down on my acetate, okay, like so. And then I am going to get some scissors, and I am just going to cut next to the edge of the die cut. Okay. This is a really easy one to do this with because it's mostly straight edges. A couple little curved places on the ends, or on the corners that is, but nothing too hard. Okay, so now I've got that. Get this adhesive off of here so I don't accidentally stick something to my desk that I don't want to stick to my desk. Although it would not be the first time. Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, so now I want my little tiny foam tape strips. I gotta find them. Bear with me 1 second here. I believe they're in here. Nope, those are squares. Okay. There they are. Okay, so these are like 1/8" foam tape strips. And so I'm just going to kind of bend this to split them apart because they do kind of tend to want to stick together. So I'm going to turn this over to the back side. Go along the bottom. That one's almost going to fit exactly on the top. Okay, grab another one. And since I'm not putting like glitter or anything inside this one. I don't need to get it like 100% sealed on these edges. I just need it so that it's not going to collapse or whatever, because we are going to put our little candy pieces inside. Okay. You know what? I don't know that I need to do a second layer. I think that's going to be enough. Okay, so then I'm just going to take my candy pieces. He gets lost in there, so I don't think I'm going to use him. I'm using lots of candy corn because I love candy corn. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah. I think I'm going to leave him out too. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and get the backing off of my foam tape. This down, and they're stacked in there too well, so I have to kind of beat it a little bit to loosen them up. I may have to pull this back just a little bit to fix them. Okay, so pulled a little bit of undo on there and got that fixed. So now I just need to get some foam squares on the back of my lid piece here to get it. Actually, I'm not even going to put them on the back. I'm going to put them on here to make sure I've got them where I need them. Get the backing off of those. Put a little line of glue right along the top here where this goes over. And there we go. Okay, and I've got a couple extra pieces and I probably put toppers on those and I could put them on. And then other than that, I'm going to just take some twine and put that on there, but that one's ready to go on the treat box.